Your weekend at Effy's never has to end. Join us on the Patreon and get access to all the bonuses. I'm talking extra episodes, early access, fun furry friends, merch discounts, and wait, is that unique art coming right to my house in the mail? There are so many ways to support. Just go to weekendateffys.com. Join the club, hang out with everybody, ask the questions you want to ask of the podcast, and see how much more Weekend at Effy's you can fit into your life. There's so much there, and you're going to love it. And it's the only way to support Effy on Patreon. Weekendateffys.com. Come hang out. What happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas because Effy is too honest, too true, too real, and we're going over everything. We're talking to all of our patrons with their questions. We're answering every little bit, and then we're reflecting. We're figuring out what's next. We're going to talk about what happened. We're going to talk about why wrestling's the greatest thing in the world. This is Weekend at Effy's. Thank you for joining us. And make sure you follow, subscribe, share, rate, do something, click something. The algorithm begs of you. And we need people to hear this. This is changing the world.
Okay.
You have to jump all the way back into it. I always forget this time of year is an absolute self-destruction test to get through. And we survived it for the most part. And I think it's good we waited to record, and I think it's good we waited to get back in the booth. We've had guest episode after guest episode coming out, and it's been awesome. We're going to have more guests. I'm going to be recording a lot more guests coming up, and people are, you know what I'm finding out, Peter? People are down to make the trip to Atlanta or to find their way here because they're in Atlanta already. And so we're going to keep expanding this and bringing people in. And what a magical thing for you to get to watch these conversations and learn a whole lot more about, you know, what's going on out there. Because, yeah, I sometimes put you in this seat and I go, oh, I'm speaking a foreign language. It's crazy. You know what I've been doing this week, Peter, to help me in this superstar time? I've been saying WWMJD. What would Michael Jackson do?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the real person, Michael Jackson. Guys, I'm not talking about the actual person, Michael Jackson. Because that's literally a crazy person, right? That everybody has just anchored their horns into because it's the only way they know how to make money. I'm talking about an in-universe, the one performed by Jafar Jackson. What would Michael Jackson do? Because that version, the like Avengers version of Michael Jackson, that version only in name may be similar, but is a different character. And so that version where they're going, if we rewrite history,
Bubbles will return for Avengers End.
right. But if we rewrite this version of Michael that they're giving me to the world now, that's sort of resetting the world on fire with the fever for Michael Jackson. This character, what would he do? Because I think he's actually written to be somewhat prophetic and is just sort of everyone. I'll say this, you know, with Janet not being in the movie, it lets me know this is definitely a different Michael Jackson. So I've been saying, what would he do? And one of the things I did that we're going to kind of get into,
Is it appropriate to refer to the Michael Jackson movie as Return of Jafar?
No, because this is, I mean, the bigger picture is this, and
Or
part
is,
of the
is,
reason
is the second one going to be Return of Jafar?
there's not going to be a second one. We've had this discussion. You think there will be? People are talking about, oh, this scene's going to hit in the next one. This is going to be so good. I don't see where you narrate that. We're all going into the theater knowing that the real version of Michael Jackson is not someone you like need to look up to anymore. Despite anything, here's what I'm going to say. This is the only thing I'm going to say about Michael Jackson, and then I'm going to switch to why I brought it up. I've never wanted kids to come to my house so bad that I built Six Flags at my house. You know what I mean? Like, for whatever reason that you wanted them there or for whatever childhood you wanted to revisit, I've never said, you know what would be great for the kids who come over here is if I built my own Six Flags that they were allowed. It's either way. I was like, what would MJ do this whole week where I'm like living stardom, fake MJ. And I thought, oh, MJ would pretend to be Elvis. Right. And so I did something really controversial. And I, for the first time in WrestleMania week history for Effy, performed what is known as the Half-Elvis, which is what MJ would do. Now you're saying right now, which half? I want to say this. When Elvis was trapped in his touring, much like the character Michael Jackson, who was trapped to tour with the Jackson 5 to not leave his family behind, even though they were untalented chumps who were all just riding his coattails and still are, which is why this version of Michael Jackson that I follow is a more appropriate version, because it's their hope of what they thought Michael was. And Michael really, it doesn't matter. The Half-Elvis I performed was a residency in a Las Vegas hotel. Because we're going to talk about WrestleMania. And one thing I'm going to talk about right now is for the first 5 days and for all of the shows I participated in for the collective, I entered the Horseshoe Casino Wednesday night. I did not exit the Horseshoe Casino until Sunday morning. I did a half Elvis. Now, you may be asking, what's the other half of Elvis? It's also the other half of Michael Jackson, the real version, not the movie version, which is dating people who you shouldn't because they're children. So I skipped out on both parts of that. And you can see that's what I'm saying. It's the movie Michael Jackson, because movie Michael Jackson didn't do anything wrong. As I'm living my stardom and I want to go, okay, Michael wanted to be Elvis. I want to be Elvis, but only the parts. What we're going to learn is we have a responsibility in whatever minor celebrity that we have here, whatever minor following that we have here, to only do movie Michael Jackson and to only do a half Elvis. Effy will always be half of Elvis at least, because I've never bought a Tennessee ranch home for my child bride, and I never will. Peter, how are ya?
I'm here.
We're
here.
We have not sat in the chair for the people here without a guest, just us. And you know what, Peter? The people miss you. The people love you. We've got so much bonus content coming out. And like you said, we've got some cool structural stuff where if you're on our Patreon now, and I made that cute bumper and I saw it on YouTube. Oh, it's so cute, right?
Yeah.
Throw it in there 100 times. It's beautiful. And it helps me remember everything. We as a unit did this for a very long time, just us. And when we have these guests, I think people are like, this is expansive, and people are finding us. We're getting views on the clips, new people that are finding out about us. And what I'm noticing too is there's people that yearn for Petár. They yearn for Petár.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
If you're getting us on the Patreon, I think it's good. But I also think, stop me if I'm wrong here, I need Petár this week to do the best version of reigning in when I'm out of my mind.
Okay.
Because I'm coming through a creatively flowing week that I think, as I'm entering this week, I'm being hit with some just all sorts of life altering information. We're going through big changes, but I'm not scared because I believe in my power with half of MJ, the kayfabe half, with half of Elvis, with all of Effy. We're going to overcome anything we run into. And we're about to enter a whole new period of more. And I'm excited for what that more looks like. But also, Petár, as someone who lives with me as a person and is my friend and records this with me, I'm going to be up in the air balloons today. You might have to send the Hindenburg down a little. Don't blow it up, but you might have to send the Hindenburg down a little. And we're also, I'm gonna find out some things. I'm gonna find out what you think about some things, and we're gonna go into deep depths this week on Weekend at Effy's, featuring Petár. That's what it should be called. I just want to say that it should be called that. And Peter, you're on the cusp of something great too. There's greatness ahead of us. There's people learning, about our world. I think this has been excellent too. Seeing, our lovely friend Mike Indeed, who you may follow on the internet and who does a lot of cool stuff with various promotions. And I'm going to be in Canada doing some stuff with them soon too. With them handling a lot of the social media, you haven't gotten to see a lot of the stuff going on, which I think has been good, but also people are excited. People are excited, Peter. And we're giving them, this is old school. This is old school Effy. This is WWMJD, but that version. This is the good Elvis. Living in a hotel, being a legend.
Another M in.
Another M?
Yeah, so it's movie Michael Jackson.
Oh, WWMMJD.
Yeah.
But then that's just medical marijuana, which if you're going to see the Michael film, I hope you have a subscription to medical marijuana. Peter, we've got questions, I'm sure, from our friends on our Patreon. We have not answered questions in a long time. I imagine a lot of these questions are going to lead into discussions about things that would have naturally come up anyway. If you're a new listener to the show, you can join the Patreon to get literally, this is why when I recorded the bumper, I was like, we have to get everything in it. Y'all, it's like dummy how much cool stuff you get with the Patreon. And this is one little bit. Besides getting stuff in the mail, besides getting merch discounts, besides getting bonus episodes from Movie John Partnership, besides getting our WWE studios go through the film so Peter understands wrestling and cinema merging, besides our regular movie episodes where I talk about, I'm going to tell a story that I'm not telling here about me seeing Lee Cronin's The Mummy. You're going to have to find out about that on the episode. You're getting so much content of our beautiful animals and our beautiful transition into what kind of zoo we're becoming next. And I hope we're going to get more of your art stuff soon, because I want to talk this week about some of the experiments you've been doing and where we're moving to in the next phase of your art projects. Because people want to support Peter and they want to see this stuff. And I guess we got to see what questions our Patreon people have to respect them. But I have questions too, and I'm allowed to have questions.
Okay. All right, let's start with this. Julie Scott, I need a review of Margot's Got Money Problems and a full recap of WrestleMania weekend misadventures.
Okay, boom, check mark, done for the second part. We're going to go through everything. I have not seen Margot Got Money Troubles yet because I don't have Apple TV right now. It lapsed, and it has Nicole Kidman and Nick Offerman in a professional wrestling episode. So I'm like, I think we have to watch it. And Chavo Guerrero, well, he's not dead. I don't know why I did like that. Chavo Guerrero back on the scene, who did all of the training for Glow, who did a bunch of the training for the Von Erichs movie, who is a former cruiserweight champion, who is the brother of Eddie Guerrero, who is kind of become this liaison to the Hollywood world in training people to do wrestling. And to now see how jealous I am of Chavo Guerrero, not for any other reason than he taught Nicole Kidman how to do pro wrestling. And she said, this shit is real. She said, this shit is crazy. Did you see any of her quotes about it? Where she was like, this is unbelievable. This is stunt performance. This is crazy that I'm even doing this. You know, she's a beautiful Hollywood starlet in her 50s, and she's out here in the spandex jumping off the top rope. It's really like, we're really going to have to lock in and be a part of this. I don't know what the rest of the show is about, but I know that if Nicole Kidman, if my queen, is willing to get in the ring, I have to do the corny invitation of saying, listen, my good friend Chavo, I'm going to reach out, get me in touch. This now puts me 1 degree of separation from Nicole Kidman because I've known Chavo for years. He's always been absolutely respectful. And I'm, going to be a bit of a diva and pull my Hogan card and say, honey, get me the digits. Big gay brunch, the next iteration. Nicole Kidman, all she has to do, girl, she gets the premium spot. Come out, talk a little shit to someone, let them try you, and then hit them with the fucking stunner. The Nicole Kidman, because here you're knocked out. Chavo, get me in touch. We'll do anything you need. But here's the thing I've learned about these celebrities too. All right, as we've sort of expanded ourselves into mainstream celebrity TikTok culture this week that we're going to talk about with Cosmo, they sometimes, if you can tell them correctly how much fun they're actually going to get to have, would agree to a lot more. But they don't know what we're doing. And what I'm finding out is the more people that do find out what we're doing, they're super excited. Did you see the story this week about Doris? Are you familiar, Doris? English wrestler, 0121 from Manchester. He's a big fucking strapping lad. Wrestles in Progress. He's on the plane on his way to Vegas for WrestleMania, and he sits on the plane with what they refer to as some Welsh nans. Welsh nans that are going to Vegas to have fun. And he says, Welsh nans from Wales come to my wrestling shows. And they're like, you're a wrestler? And he's like, I'm a wrestler. I'm a man like Doris. I'm like a big deal. And they then show up to see men like Doris and then continue coming to more of the wrestling shows. And, kayfabe be damned, I talked to Pero about it. They made sure those ladies got seats that were comfortable. They came to the show. They had so much fun. It ends up in like the Sun and the Daily Mail, and it's all over British news. And what we're seeing is when we just go, wrestling fans, come see wrestling, they do. And we love it. And there's return on that. But when we say, come see this thing with us, and yes, it's wrestling, but it's because Doris is an interesting, polite, charismatic young man that he's able to talk to these older women from Wales on vacation to Vegas and say, look, come do this thing. And they go, you know what? We're going to take the risk to do it, which I don't think is a crazy risk. It's probably a $35, $40 ticket.
Right.
In Vegas. That's nothing, you know? And to see that translate to like the story so heartwarming that the Nans came to the show, that it then makes news. It's really incredible stuff to see when we bring these people in, when Nicole Kidman gets in a ring, when the Nans come to wrestling, they go, this is actually pretty sick and crazy and awesome. And that's the vibe, you know, that I was feeling all week. Sometimes there's people who are a little embarrassed to talk about wrestling, Peter. And I get it because historically, like I watched part of that Hogan documentary this week. That's like, they lash his ass out. But it's also like, he was reaching people because he wasn't what they thought wrestling was at the time. And we can't be what we think wrestling is at the time and get new people into it.
Okay, I do want to say a quick Peter side note.
Yeah, please.
So on my favorite movie podcast, Blank Check, they do a box office game at the end of every episode. So it's literally, can you guess what was in the box office for whatever movie came out? And for the last one that they did, No Holds Barred was listed, and I knew what that was because of our.
It was listed, yes,
yeah.
because you watched the Hogan Classic with our Patreon
Yep.
On our series Weekend Advances, which the name is still not my favorite, but I think it kind of makes the point that we are going to be looking at these through the lens of like, this was his little puppy dog project, and he figured out how to kind of game Hollywood. So if you're on the Patreon, check that out. We have No Holds Barred out. We have the Rundown and also Walk Tall, but we're now going to be getting into some real deep.
The real meat of it. Like why it is called Weekend at Vince's.
Yeah, they make movies, pal. They make movies, pal. All right, let's go back to our questions.
Okay, this is a second part from Julie. Okay, that wasn't actually a question. Since I just found out that there are wild hippos in Colombia, question for Peter. Were there hippos around where you grew up, and or do you have any thoughts on them? So the regular camping spot that we would go to when I was a kid had a hippo problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that differs between regular hippos and the ones that are in Colombia on cocaine,
right,
is that hippos are pretty lazy.
Okay.
They know they're top of the food chain, and so they're like lions. They're
not going to waste energy on.
So you don't really want them to be like more aware and doing things and more active. And
You're saying leave the hippos alone.
Leave the hippos alone.
But
yeah.
Legally speaking, you did have an encounter with one, didn't you?
Yeah. Because hippos sleep where they want to sleep, and so it's easy to accidentally creep up upon a hippo, and
yeah,
that's not really something you want.
And I have to imagine you look pretty appetizing to a hippo.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
soft long pork.
And then like you would put your tent down places, and then, like the security would come through and say, hey,
there may be
stampeded
hippos
through here last night, you're gonna need to move that tent. So always and then you would catch them on safari, the real classic, just going to town on a bunch of crocodiles, or if you have that like real crazy unfortunate zebra crossing and they get caught. I mean, that shit's kind of awesome, I can't lie.
That's crazy.
I mean,
they don't like want to eat zebras, do they?
It's whatever is coming into their domain, because they're hyper aggressive.
Okay.
They're really territorial. So if anything encroaches, it doesn't matter what it is, they're going to go after them because they're really fast and they've got a massive amount of power with those jaws.
All right,
and we had my parents were friends with this like British expat who would do safaris for people, but he would do different shit for us because we were local. So he would just like find out about things that were happening and then, go off track and, find whatever it was that was happening, which is how we got to watch a pride switch-over with like the younger lion fighting the older lion.
Oh, and kicking him out?
Pride. Yeah,
that's not nice.
It was wild.
There's certain things that are in the animal kingdom where I'm like, maybe it's okay if some things go extinct. Is that wrong? Like, I don't know. Like, it just seems like there's just maybe we should go more extinct.
There's
Probably
a pretty massive amount of switchover as far as just naturally through the animal kingdom. The problem is that like we interfere and do things that.
I mean, I know it comes down to being our fault, but it is also like, I don't know. Like, we shouldn't have hippos around
Sorry,
here.
is that icky?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. This was like Africa stuff.
Stop. I'm like, stop. What's it called? Malala? Where they go to in Mufasa?
Malala?
Malala. Yeah. What's that like?
What, animal heaven?
It's heaven?
That's what you're talking about?
I thought it was a part, like it was like the good, like the.
I didn't see that movie.
Oh. Don't you talk about my brother. Okay. Let's go back to the questions. We're deep here.
Okay, this is from Rob. This might be a touchy subject, but I'm worried about Allie Catch's future. Is Allie fine?
Allie and Effy are both fine, and things are behind us, and the future is ahead of us. And sometimes you look around at the landscape of where you are, and I'm very fine with who I am, right? And sometimes you have to go, there seems to be an assumption a lot of times, and I've discussed this like in interviews and stuff, where like I don't want people's involvement with me, no matter how successful or fun or exciting it is, to close any doors for them that they want open. And you know, in this week especially, booking a show, having other people be a part of the show, being a part of storylines that are, you know, sort of the end of an era on things, I want to make sure that it's like very clear that Allie is not Effy, right? And Allie is, you know, has had matches with Effy, is around Effy, but like, please don't bunk us together if that's going to be a negative, because there are plenty of people who would make it a negative. And so I hope, as we've kind of put a closure to this story and we see where else, you know, that goes, and we're both kind of going in different directions, that she's more than fine. That I hope that, you know, upon her return, getting this kind of clearance away from me, even though I had to do it in pretty violent means, is a fresh start and a fresh opening. And I've seen a lot of praise for her in the past few weeks. Some of the matches she's had and things she's done from, you know, people in the industry that would not praise me necessarily. And that's kind of the most I would say about it. And I think that's a good sign that, you know, they're looking at her on her own and not next to me. So I think she's more than fine. And I think she will continue to be more than fine. And, you know, of what I saw around her this week, she seems to be as fine as she can be. Yeah.
All right, this last one's from Machete Von Kill. First things first, thank you so much for an awesome big gay brunch. Spring Break and BGB were definitely the highlights for me of all the Vegas shows. You all killed it. Second, mad love to you and Allie for some tremendous storytelling. You both definitely got me in the feels. Third, the questions. Any amazing sight stories or tasty treats from Vegas?
You know, I made this kind of pledge to myself to like not participate in Vegas as much as possible, which is why I didn't really make a thing of it until day 2 or 3, where I was like, oh, I don't have to leave the Horseshoe Casino. And I want to say that the only part of my plan that was really foiled was I'm wrestling in the same building that my hotel room is in, that's in the same building that food is and pool is and everything is, that I would not enjoy some of the food I was eating. And I got to say this, Guy Fieri, I ordered Guy Fieri room service, probably at not like the correct time necessarily, but at one point I ordered the French toast and bacon, which was simple, but like you're like, okay, well, I'm going to pay the Vegas price anyway. And it did seem to be like they just kind of like dumped a pan of whatever was left of everything in sort of a bucket and just brought it up to the room. And it was like, I just sort of picked at it for a while, and that food was not good. I've eaten better in Vegas, but I also like did not want to spend Vegas money at all. So I think I probably did not eat well enough in Vegas, and I probably could have been more nutritionally aware of things. But yeah, I did not leave that hotel until literally all the shows were over. And so anything that was in that hotel, there was one day where like there was a line for everything and I had to be at a show. So I just ate a triple decker Ben & Jerry's cone dipped in chocolate of all the flavors. And that was like, I was like, well, I'm either waiting in line for all this food or I'm just going to eat a triple decker Ben & Jerry's in the middle of the day while I haven't been eating anything else. And you know what? You just live with it and it's fine. And it would have been the same situation at anywhere I went in Vegas. And even being on the Strip, it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Wander next door and eat at the expensive Haagen-Dazs at the Venetian versus the fucking Ben and Jerry's at the Horseshoe? I don't know. I've definitely had a better time before eating and enjoying and touristing Vegas, but like I've been going to Vegas since I was like 17, Peter, on fake IDs, and I've seen Vegas and I've done Vegas a lot of times. And I was just in Vegas 2 weeks ago flyering for the show, so people would come out, and I needed to not be in Vegas as much as possible. And so from Uber trip I went to a different hotel Sunday, and that was like, it really, leaving the hotel is when everything started getting whirly-girly and crazy and messed up out of control. So I think I needed to be in that hotel for as long as possible. So my Vegas trip and adventure was about that. There was a moment where I didn't get to link up with BattleBots, but I was in the Horseshoe room, where originally it's the World Series of Poker room where we're having all the shows, and the back staircase opens up right to the BattleBots arena. And so I was like leaving outside of spring break, I think, or right before spring break was starting, and I opened the back door and you can hear people screaming for the BattleBots from the BattleBots arena across there. And so it was just this weird, like, I was glad I had seen The Last Showgirl at this point, because it very much was that side of Vegas a lot of the time that I was dealing with and seeing, and I was totally fine with it. It was why I was there. I wanted to come into Vegas as a performer and not be a tourist, and I did it. And I can, kind of put that behind me now as a thing that I've done, which is the Half-Elvis.
How was the kiss from Zach?
Oh my gosh. Here's the thing. There was a point in the match where he was like, why are you sweating so much? And I was like, Zach, I'm sweating so much for the same reason you're sweating so much, which is we're both dehydrated in a desert and have wrestled multiple times. Him probably more than me. And so I got to say, like, getting to be in the ring with Zack Sabre Jr., really great. Having to fix the big gay brunch behind the scenes while everything's going to make it the show that it was, while also preparing for a match with Zack Sabre Jr., not the most stress-free day of my life in that aspect. There was a lot of other great stuff going on. And so, like, I look at this kiss in the same lens that I look at the Jon Moxley kiss, where, like, I can't ever say, oh, that was bad. But, girl, it was not a good kiss. Because I was sweaty and gross and dehydrated and dry-mouthed and exhausted and had just been choked out. And, I think of that Jon Moxley kiss where there's cigarette in my mouth and the sweat and spit is just together. Like, it's not a good kiss by objectifiable means. And then to have it be a moment where people are like, oh my God, how was that? And you're like, it was horrible. You don't want to be that, but it is like, I probably had better kisses that week from just people being polite than what I was dealing with us two gross, sweaty, just grapple boys at the end of the week being kind of outrageously disgusting and then giving the people what they need at that point. Ugh. It is like, there is a magic to this sort of feeling by the end of the week in these shows where you've done all these shows where you're like at a point of no return and you don't even feel human anymore. And you're like going through these motions that are like kind of big deals. And you just have to like take it as it goes and go, all right, well, I'm doing the thing. You can't sit there and be like, how am I supposed to do the thing while I'm completely dehydrated? I've only eaten shitty Guy Fieri French toast. You need to call me about that Guy Fieri. It's the worst French toast I've ever had.
I've heard none of his restaurant stuff's all that good.
Come on, man. It's embarrassing. I'm doing a Half-Elvis at the Horseshoe. I'm ordering direct to the room. It's there in 15 minutes. What's the disconnect, man? What are we talking about? I paid $42 for a half order of bacon and French toast. It tastes like old, cold sadness that I should have had an air fryer in the room to heat up on. See, I really am turning into a pop star. I'm here complaining about room service French toast and bacon. Do you hear this? Do you hear me? It's disgusting. But I really didn't like the kiss, to answer the question. Love you, Zack Sabre Jr. Hope we kiss later, but woo.
Okay, how are you feeling about the past week? Triumphant or exhausted?
I haven't. I think it's very good. The way I structured my week, obviously, was to do a show Wednesday, a show Thursday, a show Friday, a show Saturday, maybe a show Saturday night that I ended up pulling off of the clusterfuck because I was just like, I am cooked. I was there the whole time. I was running around trying to help people, but I was like, I'm not doing it. I knew it would be a lot at once. I also know the weeks after, last year I was a little more hesitant to take bookings the week after. But this year I was like, look, I'm going to be sitting there just like, it's better if I keep this going than cut it off immediately. And so to come home for the 2 days I was home and kind of look at you and go, I'm not like at all processed through what I've done in the past 6 days, to also be in a position where like this is. So when I left the hotel, I'm going to jump around a lot. When I left the hotel, I went to another hotel because it was cheaper. I wanted to stay there for the night, but I ended up back at the Horseshoe for a variety of reasons. And in that time, lost my wallet and my passport. The wallet was found in the room that I was in. Obviously, like I only went to 4 places. And then I found my passport right before I was about to leave out of town again, where I was like, I got to get to the airport super early because I have to go do the questionnaire thing again. And I opened my gear bag, and I know I looked there. Like I looked in there,
I
Peter.
think I need to sage your gear bag.
You need to sage my life out because there's my passport sitting there. Allie went, thank God, and picked up my wallet for me. Because now that, we don't have to be wrestling connected. We can just be normal people around each other. It's really actually kind of nice. She went and got it for me, and she did a video that she's like, I'm not putting it out because number one, she has 2 black eyes from the match that we had, which I'll tell you in a minute. And number 2, it's her going through my wallet, and there's just like, things just collect in there. And so like she started pulling stuff out and being like, here's what's in my wallet. And I'm going, you could pull even more weird shit out of there right now. And I can't, you saved me, so you can show people what's in my wallet. But I did enjoy that there is a signed Jordan Oliver trading card in there, which if he hears, oh, that's like, oh, what a cool thing and a good luck charm, I'm pretty sure I stole it because he messed it up and I was going to sell it on Whatnot. And it just sat in my wallet and she found it. So Jordan, like, love you to death, but also I was going to try to profit off of your name because you may be the brain of Bustin' the Brain, but I'm over here and I'm the carnival brain and I'm here to be a carnival person. Yeah, that was a chaos moment. So I kept it going after, and I have not had time to process anything because I went to Chicago and had a match for a championship against Trevor Outlaw, and I did not win in the Emporium. But I'm coming back the next 2 months to Freelance, which is going to be fantastic. I'm pumped to be back at Freelance. And then I went to Texas, which I'm like going to Texas a good bit for different reasons. And for this reason, I had another championship match against Dylan McQueen, who had every right to beat my ass and certainly did. And I did not win that one either, but I think I just needed to go keep getting my ass beat while I was out there to then eventually, hopefully, be able to process, everything that has gone on. It's very strange to zoom out on because it is like, it's a wonderful accomplishment to do what I did and host, the 11th brunch with GCW, to host a lot of international talent and do the show I wanted to do. I think it was one of the best big gay brunches. We can kind of go down the card if we want to. But it also is like, I don't have space and time to reflect all the time. I don't. I have to keep going. It's always what's forward. It's always what's next. And that doesn't really give you space to sit back and look at it. I hope one day I can sit back and look at everything. But while I'm in the middle of it, it's sort of like I'm already planning big things. I've already got a lot of big things lined up that, are outside of the ordinary, that are going to put, big gay brunch into positions that maybe hasn't been in before and trying some new stuff. So let's just let's let you guys be the reflectors, hearing compliments from people, hearing they enjoyed the match, seeing write-ups. I saw a write-up from PW Ponderings of someone, I believe Scott Mitchell's, like, top matches of the week. And not only was me and Allie in there, but then seeing Brick Savage versus Mad Dog Connolly listed in there, which is a match I booked on my show. It's like there's different ways to find the reward now. And so maybe the reflection is just keep telling me the stuff you like that isn't just me being me, and stuff maybe that I'm producing or being a part of, because I hope that's a big step in kind of where we go next, being able to just like present more stuff like this, because it's a joy. Even though it's a stress leading up to it, doing it on the day of it and being like, look at this, there's a reason you stress about all of it, because you want it to be flawless and perfect and great. And it won't be, but you can prepare as much as possible for it to be what you want. And it was as much of what I wanted, as I wanted, so to speak. I was all over with that, but I'm enjoying it. Yeah. We got some big changes approaching. We're going to see how that feels. But I'm not in any way, it doesn't worry me in the sense of like being truly worried. It worries me in the sense of like, where does this land? Where do we go with this? Where does this go next? And whatever that is, we're going to make it happen. We're figuring it out. How do you feel about it, Peter?
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, you've called a lot of big things down the line, and I think you being more aware of kind of what's going on and what's happening, it doesn't make it easier for you necessarily. But I think as we kind of grow through this, we're going to see a lot more strange opportunities pop up than expected. It's dark times some ways, but in other ways, I think the world is moving into whatever's next. And I've always been a person who's like, what is next? So I'm thinking we're going to scrape into the right stuff very soon. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, one last little one here. And because I'm a nosy bitch, what did Petár do while you were in Vegas? So I rented a camera and shot a bunch of stuff.
Yes, and had people over to view your artwork in a magical way, which I've gotten to do a little bit with you, and I love being a guinea pig to your art. But I also see you kind of on the verge of being able to set something up a little more long-term somewhere.
Yeah.
Like you've kind of focused the vision in of a very long project that I think I've been around for a good bit of, from even before we were living in the same space.
Yeah.
And it kind of has jumped into this unpredictable realm that's been really fun for people to explore. Do you want to get into it at all, or is it kind of still vague mystery?
Let's leave it a vague mystery for now.
It's exciting to see that you've added an element of participation that feels
I think that's
rewarding.
the necessary part of it.
I think we're learning that that's necessary kind of for everything. People don't just want to look at things anymore.
No.
People want to do things. People want to feel like they've done things, and people want to share experiences with people. And boy, if Vegas doesn't give you that, my God, that is, you can go experience anything. You know, they have a thing in Vegas where you can go drive the cat machines, like the construction equipment.
Oh my God.
Like they just put you in a big bare lot and you can go around and just do like the claws and the bulldozers and the rollers and everything. To me, that's art itself, to have these things and be like, these are private things that are used in very specific ways to build everything around you. Like they're up and down our street since fucking October dealing with this construction. And they're going, and you as a private citizen can now just come goof around on them. I got in trouble when I was a kid because I used to play street hockey. And this guy was building in the neighborhood. And we must have been like 8 or 9. And we definitely poured a bunch of water in all the gas tanks of his equipment. And he was like, who did this? We were like, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't be killing trees. Maybe you shouldn't be destroying the forest. And so, like, am I worried about the next generation? Yes. Because do you guys know about making sugar water theoretically and pouring it in the equipment of stuff that you don't want to be built around you? I don't know if they do. I don't know if they have the gumption to be a part of something like that. But, you know, I think kids are the most... It's like the Scientology thing right now. Kid terrorism is fun. Like teens being so bored that they want to just run up on the building, and the Scientologists being like, "Ooh." But the thing about that is, like, where's Shelly Miscavige? We can't call the real police to deal with you guys when we're hiding bodies and tax evading and robbing people blind.
Watch this trend actually lead to some kind of prosecution on,
because they're doing it even more now. They've brought eyes to it.
It's really incredible.
I think, kids, listen, your records can be expunged. You can get away with things. I'm not saying hurt anyone, but I'm saying you should be frustrated about the world around you. And I've always found that participation and seeing if you can change the world is important. And I just think, you know, listen, in this Palantir world, they're going to get you anyway. You kids are kind of freeform right now. I'm not saying the character of Michael Jackson in the movie would do this in the right way.
Yeah,
but I'm encouraging kid crime.
Do you know about Canary List?
No, what is?
That's a dark.
Okay, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm just saying, you know,
it's just everybody's on a list, and there's multiple lists. Like, go have fun.
What jury's going to convict the children of messing up the Scientology building and running through it? Y'all should let the children in. Jesus said, "Bring the children." And what kind of religion is this if the children can't? It's because in Scientology, you know about the children, right? Children are just fully formed adults that they can use for slave labor that are still in a child's body, but it's the mind of it. They're like, you can mop. So when they see these kids, they're like, these are adult evils if they're believing it. Am I wearing my shirt today? Oh, this is awesome. Run up on them Scientologists, scare them. I am one of them. You want to know about Dianetics? I'll tell you all about it. But I need like 50 grand to the Cash App. I'm trying to be an L. Ron Hubbard type of findom, where, you know, I'll tell you I'll read your thetans. Just need to send me that money, you little pig.
Have you looked up e-meters on eBay?
No, are they expensive?
Expensive.
No, come on.
Expensive.
You don't think we could do an e-meter? You don't think we do an e-meter reading?
It's because I don't know. I looked into it for you a while back for some bit, and it was prohibitively expensive.
But do you think that we can build one? Oh, come on. These aren't that bad. I mean, a couple grand? What's wrong with that? Okay, no, I can get this one for $600. Oh, here we go. Scientology Professional Mark 6 e-meter Hubbard electrometer light gray with case. Previously owned $250. Or best offer. Do I make a best offer?
Make a best offer.
All right, I'm going to make a best offer right now. What's a 35?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to make an offer right now for $35 on the L. Ron Hubbard e-meter with delivery by May 2nd. No chance, right? No chance they take it? But how many people are buying e-readers? Like, won't you, like, at a certain point.
At a certain point, yeah.
You're not going to take $35 for the e-reader?
Yeah.
What if they take it, Peter? What if we know by the end of the episode they're not going to take it? Oh, my offer expires in a day. This could be big, Peter. This could be huge. I'm excited. Let's talk about the shows I did do at the Horseshoe Casino. The first show I did was for PWU Hybrid, and we had a very fun tag match with Busta and the Brain and the Backseat Boys, who are back with me and Joey Janela tagging. Was the plan. Okay. Here's what I want to say. I heard rumors during the stage setup that all the union workers of the hotel were like, union has to set up everything with staging. And they're like, all right, well, like, do it. And then they set it up, and then the stairs, someone walked on the stairs and they broke. And this is before any of the shows. So then during the Dragon Gate show, Alec Price and Jordan make their entrance, and Alec is very excited during an entrance, to the point where I'm like, let's all keep an eye on him before he goes out there, because he does like a full Friday Night Lights deep prayer thing. And he gets out and he hits the stairs, and the stairs just collapse, and he just skins the back of his legs, and it's like fucked. And I'm like, ooh. So in the end, Flying Ryan O'Neal stepped in and replaced him in that spot. But I want to say to the union workers, I have been someone who has always supported unions, but the part of being in the union is you got to not suck ass at the job. Maybe you do. Maybe once you're in the union, you can just suck ass. But like, we also aren't going to tell anybody, because wrestling is not going to get unionized anytime soon. Shout out Evil Hulk Hogan. I'm not unionizing it either, because a lot of y'all are just bad, and I'm not including you on this. But for them twice to be like, the union has to do this, and then it fail again and hurt someone is absolutely insane. And I hope that they dissolve your union. Is this how they get me on the wrong side of history? Just the union workers are so incompetent. I want your union to remain. I just want you guys to care, because it's a big weekend for a lot of these guys. And if you don't know how to build a small portable staircase for a stage show in this room, I don't know if you got to be on the union. And if you're that guy, maybe like when someone has to help and you know you're not really good, you go like, should we tell them about the union thing? And they go, no, we should just let them put it together, because we're really bad at this. It's very silly. So I did that show. That was great. It was a midnight show, so we were out there pretty deep in the night. But the show I was like kind of excited for, him kind of out of nowhere, was the next day. And that was the El Desperado Despy Invitational, brought to you by New Japan. And for it to be, someone came up and they were like, oh, this is like your New Japan debut. And I was like, oh, I guess it is. And then I was like, should I like be more New Japan? Like, I don't know. Should I be more New Japan for the show? And then I was like, no, absolutely not. Next thing you know, it's me and Jimmy Lloyd and Ishin from Dragon Gate in a triple threat match. I know Jimmy Lloyd pretty well. We've worked with Japanese talent together before. And we're now teaching Ishin through translation and just body language and wrestling how to do these comedy timing bits, where I'm like, we're just going to do the silliest match I can ever imagine. And I did not like run this by any of the bookers. I did not run this by the promoter or the producer. And Rocky Romero is kind of their main English person, which he's like, we're not probably even supposed to review it, but he's like a power player in wrestling where like he connects CMLL and AEW and New Japan and like is just someone who knows everyone. He used to be a very, and I think he still wrestles. He did some stuff, but like was in a very cool tag team called Roppongi Vice with Trent, who is now on AEW. They were so cool. And so just to be around Rocky, I was like, all right, I don't want to let Rocky down because he's given me this chance. Despy wanted me on the show. He's really excited. So I look right before I go through the curtain for this match to happen. And all I'm thinking is, I don't know if this is the match they wanted to happen. And he looks at me and he goes, Effy, it's going to be sexy enough, right? And I went, oh, thank God. I said, oh, thank God. You know actually why you booked me. This isn't some mystery. I said, thank God you just said that. And then we went out there and had the silliest match. I came to the back and Gato, who's the booker for a lot of the New Japan stuff, I don't know if he still does all the booking, but historically he's done a lot of booking, was like dapping me up and was like so pumped. Rocky was like, that was exactly what it needed to be. And I'm sitting here and, you know, like that moment of like, we call this whole match and then someone's like, this is like your New Japan debut. And I was like, Jimmy, should we like, and he's like, I don't know. You just kind of like, you second guess yourself a second. And then I just was like, no, I'm going to have the silliest time of all time. And it was incredible and magic. Shout out Rocky Romero. Shout out El Desperado. I also got to watch the main event from the back of the room, which was it's Matt Tremont and Nick Gage teaming against El Desperado and Jun Kasai against Masashi Takeda and Rini Yamashita in a triple threat tag match. And I'm just back there screaming, like, this match shouldn't even be able to happen. Like, Nick Gage has died before. Tremont slipped his disc 2 months ago. Jun Kasai just had hemorrhoid surgery to be in Best of the Super Juniors. El Desperado just like forced this deathmatch show on New Japan and was like, we're doing this crazy shit. It was incredible and magic and so sick to watch and just like be a part of. But then to know like I'm on a show and I'm getting paid to do my thing as Effy in a position that like I like it's never lost on me when I tell people like, oh, I've wrestled at Cork and Hall 5 times, 4 times with my ass out, or like I'm debuting for New Japan or I'm debuting for DDT or whatever it is. It's never lost on me that like I know it's probably someone's bigger dream to do that, and they've probably like pushed more of their career to do that. But I also have to go like, I'm here because I'm here, and if I pretend to be something I'm not when I get to this thing, it doesn't make any sense. And to kind of be like validated all week in the fact that like, no, you're supposed to be Effy. We hired you to be Effy. It really is like a miraculous feeling to get through something and go, you know, this isn't what the rest of their show looks like. This isn't what the rest of this program looks like. And it's perfect. And it's what they wanted. It's fucking magic. The day was upon us though, where I had to either put down or be put down. It was a Who's Old Yeller situation, and nothing ever goes the way you plan. And I got to say, our match followed a retirement match of ECW legend, the Sandman, who, God bless him, has always been known for doing about 2 things, which are drinking beer and hitting someone with a stick. This ends up being a run-in match with porn star Kendra Lust, with former manager of Effy and NWA icon Missy Hyatt, with Richard Holiday showing up. Like, just, there were so many random run-ins. It was a 20-minute comedy masterpiece. It was so sick. And now Butthole Pussy's breakup match is going to come right after, and it's emotional, and I'm going through a mental breakdown. And I'm like, I also, again, am sitting here going, the room is not ready for what we're about to do. This room is going to react in a way that is, I hope, as visceral as I'm giving them. And it's not anything that they're expecting to happen. And when we had this encounter, it did get a lot more violent and more bloody than I expected. It did have a lot more running in action. I did get stabbed in the head by Dark Sheik at one point. I did do some stabbing myself. And sometimes it's like, you got to let the girls fight. Like, it doesn't look good from a distance. And you feel like you should step in, but you got to just like let the girls fight. And I hit Mike Pero so hard with a ring bell that it then also broke when I walked it over to Allie and cracked her face wide open. So some things aren't meant to happen, and you can know that she's not going to be working with this sloppy, insolent man-child anymore, who is clearly not fine, or is he? Because she now gets to leave with a badge of honor, and I think, it opens the path for her to do a lot more things. But also, I wanted to go out in front of a rowdy room that had been cheering the fuck out of me for months for doing things that are not good, for doing things that are not nice, for doing things that are sort of against the grain, and still cheering me because I'm Effy. And then getting to the point where they go, we also love Allie, and going, now you can see the things I'm doing are not things I should have been doing. These are not nice things. These are not good things. These are not the way you treat people that are on the Big Gay Brunch. These are not things that you should do that are going to make you a better person, that you clearly have your priorities a little mixed up and you're hurting people around you. And to then see it lensed on Allie and have the room kind of get sucked out and go, yeah, I'm showing y'all exactly what she's saying is true, which is there isn't room for the two of us, and they don't need to be associated, but it also doesn't excuse what I'm doing it either. And I'm not saying I'm going back to just being sweetie pie, but I also need people to see that, like, me running a Big Gay Brunch, or me putting people on, or me helping people get booked, these are all parts of me, right? They're my Half-Elvis, but like, I also am a kind of a violent piece of shit. And I've taken on a lot of the problems that Manser left me with. And I have not been a safe place for my friends. And I've not asked them to help me, but in caring and kindness, I've drugged them into situations they should not be a part of. And I'm kind of stepping in to go, like, guys, I can be both things. And Effy can be perfectly fine for Effy. But what is not fine is thinking that, this goes without consequence, or that, my lashing out is healthy or normal or should be cheered, or my treatment of, running in on shows or being a part of things I'm not supposed to be a part of should be treated as a Stone Cold-esque victory. I think they finally had to see it in the light, and it's a really long burn to see that, like, I don't want it to come to this. I didn't want to fight her for the whole first half of the match. But if what it takes for people to let go of the fact that I'm with her, or what it takes for people to stop thinking that they can just have friendship with me without it coming with consequences of being around me, I have to be an adult in the fact that I go, this is my life and my path. I love you, but if I love you truly, you cannot do this with me. And I don't want to have to put you here, but you drug it to this. I have to kill you to where they know that you're not with me anymore. And I felt bad. And I don't think a lot of people liked watching it. And it is a very bizarre thing to enter a room and be cheered and loved and hoping, people will follow along the right way. But then to also enter the room the next morning with your name plastered all over everything and expect some kind of magical hero's welcome. And I got complaints from people, and I think, like, I'm learning a little bit of a lesson where everything went the way and in accordance with the way I wanted it to be viewed. But since that didn't fall in with the way that other people wanted to view things, it leads to disappointment. And I have to come to terms with the fact that if I would have just done everything corny by the books of, here's Effy's Big Gay Brunch after, forget the show happened the night before, I'm just going to go into it delusional, and had a silly match with Zack Sabre and didn't just get my ass kicked and get punished for being overzealous, for overstepping my bounds, for being punished for the way I treated Allie, being punished for thinking I'm above everything on these shows, finding myself in that situation with Zack Sabre where, yes, we do end up kissing at the end, but he passes me out. He knocks me out. He takes me off my grandstand after everything I've done. And then to let a historic match main event, my Big Gay Brunch, with my name on it, to say it's about a lot more than me, and to have Nyla Rose and Dark Sheik main event that match, people didn't get it. And people said, why didn't you main event? And people said, why was your match like that with Zach? And I have to go, if I want to be creatively and artistically fulfilled in this bigger vision, this week that I've been paying off a long time, even the beginning of that New Japan match where I don't want to fight. I want to have sexy time. I don't want to fight you guys. I want to have sexy time. I'm selling into the other stories going on. To this kind of long-term plan and go, I would have had the same, if not better success if I would have just done things the old-fashioned pro wrestling way, while also saying, I hope that what you can see and appreciate in this is a little more depth, a little more along the fences, a little more follow along across different ways. I've just got to be happy with the work if the work comes out the way I want it to, or I've got to go I've got to take this is going to oh no, I don't want to say it. There's certain bands where it feels like they hit what they wanted to be done, and then they said, "We'll just do the corny football theme song. Give us the check. We're still under the same name. We're still that band. We'll still go on tour, but we don't need to prove anything more artistically." And I proved something very much to myself.
Though, there's different strokes for different folks.
Different strokes for different folks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, let me tell you something, Peter. Don't you dare. Because that's not who I'm talking about. And that song is great. Hey, Siri, play Going Shopping by The Strokes. You know how often I've done that in the past 2 weeks? You know how often I've asked Siri to take me in with them? It's not about them. What I'm saying is, oh, it's so good. You hate it. I was using Fall Out Boy as an example in my head.
Oh.
I know. Because I really think after the Folie à Deux, I think it's all been, let's just get this bag. And I don't blame them. But it lends me into a choice where I said, there is a memeable, very friendly, not interesting, legacy run Hogan version of Effy that can be done, that will be done without anybody noticing I'm doing a bit. Right? Because I've created that version out of true artistry. That version of me beforehand is my vision and my thing. But as I've expanded forward and I go, okay, well, I can accomplish this and I can do complicated storylines and people will get it. But there will still be people who go, why don't you just have this on a shirt with your name? And why don't you just do your entrance and have a silly match every time? And they would support it if in a way that was even more positive than if I did this interesting thing. And I think I'm not going to do what that is, because I've seen so much success for people that have gone that path and they haven't enjoyed themselves that much. I think there's plenty of people who have gone that path and said, God, finally, I don't have to think anymore. But I like, and I explain this in my seminars too, where I'm like, if you actually love the creative part of this and the big question of, did the audience react the way you expected them to react? Not did they go crazy for everything, whether it was right or wrong. Knowing that I can do that and accomplish that in a way that I'm satisfied with me, I am then put into the temptation of going, this required a lot of me personally. This required a lot of me professionally. This paints me in a lens for people who are just expecting what they're just expecting. And it's a risk every time. And if you see me becoming Hogan Effy, SpongeBob Effy with no interest left, pull me aside, because I don't want that to be the case. Because I also think we are harvesting a group of people and an audience and a fandom that doesn't mind being put in moral predicaments, that doesn't mind being asked to go against, a character if they're not performing, the way they should. And I would rather continue to be interesting to those people than kind of just give in and do the birthday party clown version of this, whatever that may look like. So yeah, spring break was hard and tough. And I think looking at brunch overall, it blew my mind. I think one of the funniest moments to me, and brunch has always been, and you heard me, Peter, I was on this show all year going, do not contact me. I will contact you, being kind of an asshole. And some of that's a bit and some of it's not. But I'm also someone who, like, if you read between the lines, I will look out for you. And I put a lot of new faces on, but I put a lot of faces that we knew. I had a lot of strict singles matches on this show, 7 matches only. I had a 10-man tag full of just like the most incredible talent from all over the world and all through wrestling. Just to say that, like, if those people are in a 10-man tag, like, the talent is overwhelming. But I said this as I traveled the country, and I will say it as I continue to travel the country, when people ask, how do I get on Big Gay Brunch? How do I be a part of Big Gay Brunch? And the answer is, you keep working really hard. You keep showing up at places. Whether those places matter to you or not, you keep showing up at places that are giving you a chance. But when it comes to it, if you show up early on the day of that show and you come with the intention of helping and doing whatever's necessary, When Perro walked in and he said, how many twinks are in the twink gauntlet, the Parade of Punishment, Highway to Hell, Twinks Unleashed, Twink Gauntlet, I said, I don't know, Perro. And I could tell he was getting a little nervous. But the reason I said I don't know is because I needed to see who showed up to help. And there were people that did, and there were people from all over the U.S. who were there for that week for, all sorts of reasons, who I had told during my tours around the country the same thing, which is I can't promise you anything, but if you show up and help, I will try to get you on. And having that Twink Gauntlet be full of those kind of people that showed up and then are given that chance to shine in that moment. They didn't have expectation. They didn't show up and ask again. I want to reward that. And it makes the show so much more magical when people get those surprises of people that they are familiar with. Our audiences are familiar with these people. There's just only so many spots. And so then to get to surprise them with that spot and then also surprise our audiences by going, I hear you. I see you. Like when you're tagging me in these things and I'm not responding, it doesn't mean I don't see it. It doesn't mean I don't acknowledge it. It also means I know my limits as a human. I know my limits as someone who's doing all of this leading up until the week. And I want to not overpromise what I can't deliver. And y'all over-delivered, and it was incredible. And you guys watched part of that Twink Gauntlet match, and it was at one point just like turns into pornography, so to speak. Does that sound?
Yeah.
Pornography. And
I
God
know it when
bless.
I see it.
God bless Cosmo for requiring these men kiss more, because that was a direct request from our Big Gay Brunch host, Cosmo. And I think I just have to take a moment to say, in speaking with Cosmo and Cosmo's team, I kind of figured out when we showed up that day that Cosmo may not have been as well informed as we were told. And so for that 25 minutes of us doing that video with Cosmo of Melrose at her store and then convincing her to come to the Big Gay Brunch, I knew that she must have had a trust in me, in myself, and Allie, that was beyond kind of my expectation, because when she showed up, she was so surprised that it was legitimate and big and a production and a thing. She showed up, I think, out of, listen, I made sure she was comfortable. I made sure she got there. I made sure she was paid. But I sort of said, listen, you have to trust me on this. And she did. And to go from, honey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do all of those things that you're asking, to having her be the full opening of our show, to having her do commentary on the booth of one of the craziest Mad Dog and Brick. We have the commentary from that, to being a part of other parts of the show with the bear, the end of the Twink Gauntlet where the bears are in the ring, sending more bears out to handle the problem. It really shows that, like, if you really think you can back your product up and back your thing up, there's no such thing as overselling it. And it let me know that, like, if I'm selling this to someone, I can sell this to someone who has 250,000 followers on Instagram, whoever knows how many followers on TikTok, because I don't even get on TikTok, is a cultural meme in the gay community. And also, this is so crazy to me. We had talked a little bit, me and Cosmo, about her experience in wrestling, and she had done a musical with Matt Cardona and a few people called The Last Wrestling Musical that had toured, and she had done some stuff on the West Coast. And then she had said, do you know China? And I was like, yeah, China, like the eighth wonder of the world, China, like Joni Lawler, like one of the most muscled up, gorgeous women of wrestling of all time. And she had talked to me about when she had helped style China for a few years, especially when she was in between her WWF contract. She was doing other modeling work. She was doing other things, styling her to be more femme, to fit that mold better, to be the version she wanted to be. And talking about that and having her there, it wasn't really clicking as much. But then the clusterfuck later Saturday night, someone came up to me and said, hey, X-Pac and D'Lo Brown are looking for you. And I was like, okay. X-Pac, like the legend of wrestling, who's been in the Clique, who's been in the NWO, who's been in WCW, WWF, like has toured Japan, has been a welcome mentor to many people, including myself, and I've gotten to do things with him. But D'Lo Brown also, who is a producer now, I believe was with TNA for a long time, but is producing, I think, with WWE now. And so having these two guys be like, they're looking for you, I was like, what's going on? And needless to say, they just wanted to hear how the brunch went. And they wanted to hear how the show went. And these are guys who are legends of my industry, calling me over as a peer to say, how was your show? How did things go? How was it? And as we started talking, I said, "You're familiar with Cosmo, right?" And he's like, "Xbox, like Cosmo of Melrose." And started going into when him and China were together, and she would help style X-Pac, and she helped him style one of his gears as well. And he was like, I didn't know that's awesome. She was there. And then D'Lo Brown remembering that she had done styling for a lot of boxer walkouts and had done some really famous boxer walkout things where you're going, all of these things are connected. And we often think like we're just wrestling. And to have someone come from her sort of background of being, someone who was interviewed and very interesting on Soft White Underbelly and doing that and having her own stories and having all of this, but to historically come back to wrestling, which isn't really her forte, and have people be like, she's been a part of my life forever. She's been a part of this.
Thinking about what channel that was on, like if you watch the rest of their videos, it's not stuff like that. It's mostly like really heartbreaking, human interest stories, and then you have this like a kind of one-off with her,
that's its own.
Yeah.
And she has, Peter, when I tell you, I have never in my life been so quickly outwitted. And when I'm on at a show, I'm on, Peter. I'm on. And she is on. And I knew from when the show started, I said, let's get you set up out here with your merch. We'll have you come back 10 minutes before and get the intro. It'll be very easy. She goes, what do? I go, you be yourself. You intro the show. You let them know. You tell the people how good they look. You check everybody's outfits out. You be the queen of fucking Melrose. And when she got to the back, she goes, they really are buying merch, aren't they? And I was like, yeah, you did all right. She goes, do they love it? I go, well, you got to get out there more. We got to have you sign more. The people were so behind it. Our audience has that crossover. Feeling like I was building bridges in wrestling that didn't exist or hadn't been trodden on in a long time was really magical. The follows and the views that I've gotten from people, with her tagging us and her behind the scenes footage and everything has been marvelous and crazy. And you kind of go like, I've been doing this is my 13th year professionally that I'm entering here. And it's like, we're just kind of getting started and finding that like these things do pay off. If I put my effort into going out of my way and trying something new or trying to bring someone into our world that isn't there, it's not diminishing to anything about wrestling. It is this magical new bridge where we go, there's people who don't know we exist. They don't know we exist. I think if I had a little more time and promotion on the brunch and had just put it into, even beyond just doing the flyering 2 weeks before and doing a little bit of promotion on targeted ads, that we could have really gotten gay people in who would have really never seen anything like this before. And then are watching, two trans women main event this show. I talked to Sheik about that match because I saw her in Texas and she said, what'd you think? And I was like, it was a main event. It was perfect. She goes, I didn't know if you were like making a point to make me main to like, and I was like, I was making a point to make you main because I'm not following that match. Right. To me, yeah, it's historic. That's great. There are two occasions where Dark Sheik has main evented and Effy has not on a big gay brunch, and that's versus Sunny Kiss in Philly. And thank God I was match 4, having a comedy match with Breezango. Thank God. I love it. That's my style. That's what I want to do in those moments. And then now going, I'm having this match with Zack Sabre Jr. and I get it, but I'm being put to sleep and I'm being put out and I'm finishing a storyline here is what I'm doing. I need a main event caliber match. I need a main event that features two people who know how to work a main event. And I've known Nyla Rose even longer than I've known Dark Sheik, which is incredible to me. And to look at both of them and go, I'm not following you, and you also know how to put on a main event. It was like, this is awesome. And then I got to do the old, hey, I'm not coming back out. I was the semi-main event. I'm not coming back out. The floor is yours. To give Dark Sheik the floor to do whatever she wanted. I really wanted to make a point that like, I think Effy's very integral to a lot of things. I think I wouldn't argue objectively that Effy isn't good and necessary for where the wrestling scene is going. But I would also argue, like, look around at the show I put together. This isn't Effy. This is Effy calling in favors. This is Effy bringing in people who do incredible work. This is Mercedes Martinez working for me at a rate that I would hate to even offer her. This is Viper's and Mercedes having a crazy match and then having Taya Valkyrie and cheerleader Melissa come in and just make out with everybody at the end of this match for the hell of it. This is, having Cosmo Queen of Melrose on your screen while you're watching two bears making out and CPA, getting his hairy man fix, which also like, it's so funny watching those guys all make out because it's like they're all their own versions of gay and none of them would fall into that category, but God bless them for doing it for Cosmo and going for it. I want people to see that like this is a bigger picture, and especially going in the next week after Freelance to go to Uncanny in Texas and main event that show for the belt and work with Dylan McQueen. And Dylan's been on Big Gay Brunches before and go, look, like you may not have been on this Big Gay Brunch, but you are a high caliber talent with a championship and you're worthy of beating me and defending that championship. And I hope that that ascends your record as well. I don't have the resources right now to run as many shows as I'd like. I'm working on doing more of that. But I also want people to see that like, if we are this tentpole event for gay wrestling and we're this thing that you want to see, here are people you can watch all year round that are doing other things elsewhere all the time. I don't want it to just be stuck to me. And I'm glad the Effy brand works, but if it didn't, I would, still want to be involved in shows like this and, not have, not feel like I have to be a certain gay on my own show, because I don't. And other people are going to be better at certain things. And it's awesome. I want to be Ringling Brothers or Barnum and Bailey, but like, I don't want to have to like be every act in the circus,
Right.
Like if you went to see Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus and you're like, yeah, but we didn't see the Ringling Brothers or Barnum and Bailey. No one's ever said that because the rest of the circus is so sick. So if it comes to a point where my name is just on it, great, because that means that people are checking it out. But I also don't think my name should even have to be on it. And I hope people can see that like the wrestling out there is so sick. And if I got you to look at it, if something got you to look at it, now you get to go deeper and see how much more cool stuff there is out there. It's awesome. I got to tell you about the weirdest part of my whole weekend. Danhausen. God, Danhausen. Y'all, they could give Danhausen $1 trillion and it wouldn't be enough. There's never been a person who I've known in my life who has been able to manifest so magically. And yeah, they've had their setbacks, but Danhausen has said everything and it has come true in the past few weeks. Whether it be him in a blimp over Las Vegas, he wants his blimp and his sacks of money. They asked him, they said, "How are you surprised at the reaction to your merchandising doing so well here?" And he goes, "Oh, yes, doing very well." He goes, and I know it's doing well because they wouldn't have 70 items with my face on it if it wasn't. He had his own section of the store, okay? And to me, I hope he keeps making so much money. To me, getting to work with him at any stage that I got to work with him, getting to tag with him once or twice, to know him as a person, that to me is like, it's such an honor. And sometimes you have to let your babies fly. And we're still in contact and it's beautiful and it's magic. But sometimes I'm also reminded of what a small world we come from. And there was a time where it was just us out here in the Indies doing weird stuff and people telling us we were awful all the time for different reasons. And after WrestleMania, I was in a really weird position. I had some meetings. I talked with some people. I had left and gone back to the Horseshoe. I was winding down. People are starting to go out of town Sunday, but I stayed until Monday because I needed to reflect. And I got back to the hotel room and I was just like feeling a little wonky. Like there was just a lot going on. And I hit up my friend and he said, "We're right down the street at the Nerd Bar. RVD's having his party for 420. Just come hang out. There's a bunch of us here. We'll be in the back. Just come find us." And I did not watch WrestleMania on Sunday or see the Danhausen segment. And so I was not familiar with what I was about to run into. I did know that on Wednesday through Saturday night, the Micromania has their tour. It's a residency in Vegas at the Nerd Bar. There's a back room. There's a whole setup. It's incredible. They have bachelor parties there. They perform every night. It's a packed house. I got to the Nerd Bar and they let me in and they said, "Hey, your friends are in the back," and the owner, he's around in the back, and I know him. I know Johnny Vegas. The first night I went to the Nerd Bar there while we were in Vegas.
Oh, you know Johnny Vegas?
I know Johnny Vegas. When we were there 2 weeks ago, the girl came up to me at the bar and goes, "Diet Coke for you?" And I go, "How did you know?" And she goes, "Johnny Vegas told us." He's awesome. He's great. This place has a bowling.
A real person.
Oh yeah, he is. This place has a bowling alley. This place has a bull dick that you can ride, like a bull dick. It has a Bad Dragon vending machine, has arcade stuff, full bar, wrestling memorabilia. It also has the Micromania building in the back. Now, it used to be called the Sabu Room, and I'm not going to get into any more of why you would see Sabu there. But I went to the back and I opened the door, and like I said, I'm a little like, this is 6 days in Vegas, and I go, what the fuck? And I open the door, and there are 4 little people completely dressed as Danhausen. And much like in Toy Story, when they're in the thing and they're calling for the claw, they all just went, Effy! And I'm going, oh my God, what is happening right now? I'm losing my mind. And I was like, what's up, guys? And they were like, Johnny told us you were coming back here. Sonico's like over there. Come hang out and smoke with us. And I was like, okay. And then another Danhausen runs around the corner and goes, y'all can't be smoking back here. You're not allowed to smoke back here. And they went, no, he is allowed to smoke here. He's allowed to. Johnny said he can come back here and smoke all he wants. And so I'm sitting here with 4 little people, now 5 little people, dressed as one of my close friends from wrestling, who I'm so proud of, after 6 days in Vegas. And they're yelling, Effy's allowed to do drugs in the back of this. And I'm going, what is happening right now? What is my life? What is going on after this whole week of just emotional getting through these stories and doing everything? And right across town, Danhausen's in a blimp and he's doing things. He's going. I then, as I'm closing my week in Vegas, am reminded that, like, at the end of the day, this shit is absurd. You're a part of it, and everything around you is not, you're not participating in wrestling anymore. Wrestling is participating with you. You have made a stamp. You're a part of this thing, and it goes so much deeper than you could know. And I think, like, people coming up all weekend and saying thank you, or that was incredible, or I loved your match, or I love this, it sometimes falls on deaf ears because I'm in the middle of doing something. But then seeing these guys who just got a WrestleMania paycheck to go out with Danhausen, who had the idea to just like, let's get more people paid to do my segment. This will look incredible. This will be a really fun thing. And got the boys more paychecks. They already knew me. They already knew us. It's this magic circle where I'm like, sometimes you put a lot of effort into wrestling and it kicks you right in the dick. And sometimes you find out that this whole thing it doesn't owe anybody anything. You hear that all the time in wrestling, but when you give to it, you can never predict what you're going to get out of it. And I think the continually not being able to predict where this thing's going, what is next, what's happening, how quickly tides turn, how much things change. I'm strapped back in, Peter, and I'm really interested, and I feel in control of the reins to kind of go, whatever direction we go next. And I'm really excited. And I think we got to keep doing weird shit.
Yeah, keep doing weird shit.
And, I don't want to spoil anything, but we have something really big coming to Atlanta soon that is going to be kind of insane.
Okay.
I really can't speak on any of it, but when I tell you off air, you're going to be like, we're moving. And I think it also confirms a few guests we're about to get on the podcast as well, which we had a little hiccup in getting a guest the other week, and I've held that guest to task. They will be returning. But I think with what you're seeing coming up, there are so many interesting people in my life from wrestling that I think I know things about them and I know how interesting they are outside of just themselves. I want to keep bringing that here because I think one of the skills I'm finding out is like, I know how to present people, whether that's in a wrestling match, on a wrestling show, in a capacity of promotion, or just talking to them in a way where people can understand their vision. Mm-hmm. I want to keep using Effy to platform other people, whether Effy is platformed more himself or not. I've done a lot of Effy. I'm going to keep doing Effy. I also think there's more value right now in Effy and showing the world what Effy's been seeing, because people have to see what I see about this shit. If they saw wrestling the way I saw wrestling, they would be obsessed and lined up. Bigger than Stranger Things. It's insane what's out there right now. Peter, let's keep making art.
Let's keep doing it.
It's gonna be a hard road sometimes, but guess what? They can't stop us. And that's all we have left is expression. I hope they deliver my groceries soon. Man, pretty hungry. I'm pretty hungry. They just ditched us. We're supposed to deliver at 10 a.m. They just said it's coming at 7 now. That's crazy. Ugh, I'm glad to be back. Thanks for keeping the fort down.